Welcome back, everybody. I'm Sean LaFlock. I'm here with Scott Hagnes. This is Conversations, Fitness, Wellness, Longevity. Scotty, looking scruffy.
Scruffy, yeah. Forgot the razor. Went on my trip to the coast, and this is what I get. But it's going
Nice,
away.
man. Nice, nice, nice.
Don't need this for the spring.
How long were you on the coast?
Oh, a couple of days, but stuff grows fast.
How cold? I know, right? Me, I would have something like that. Like, oh, were you gone for a day or two? I'm like, no, 6 weeks. I'm like, Jesus Christ, man. People would pick me up on the island in Castaway, and they'd be like, "Oh my God, this guy's been here for months." I'm like, "Well, I've been here for 15 years, and this is what I have." And it'd be just like 3 long strands of hair down to my chest.
Yeah.
That's good though. That's good though. But
yeah.
So before we came on, Scotty, we were kind of talking a little bit about this and that, and you got in touch with some former. Were they clients with you, or are they?
At one
friends?
point.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and as the community stays in touch,
Yep, of course.
Obviously, it's like bump into each other, or they cross paths maybe annually somewhere, somehow, that kind of thing.
Absolutely.
But but I've been in the game now for quite some time. I think maybe coaching different spots. Well, I finally opened a gym last year, and anyway, just heard this week that they had someone come in to do an intro, and he passed away a few hours later. I'm not sure if it was in his sleep or just when he got home, but he had a massive coronary. And he was like mid-40s, I want to say. I don't think he was particularly out of shape. I don't really have a lot of details, but
yeah.
But this kind of goes back. Really got me thinking a little bit about what gyms do as intro, and so what I know that they did was something that we also did years ago. It was a workout called Baseline. Old school heads in the community might remember it, at least on the West Coast. I think the workout came from LA CrossFit, Andy Petranek. It was a simple shorty, it wouldn't cause, any experienced person any grief, but it was one round for time of either a 500-meter row or a 400-meter run. It would just depend. And then it was 40 air squats, 30 sit-ups, 20 push-ups, 10 pull-ups or jumping pull-ups. And that was the workout. And basically, the way it worked, at least a lot of gyms used it as kind of their, you come in the door, you talk to them, you warm them up, and that's their first free intro workout.
Yeah.
So we used it back maybe 2008, 2009,
Yep.
Maybe a little bit into 2010, but just we stopped using it because I just wasn't comfortable. Like it would put the hurt on people. I mean, I don't know. I mean, there was one time I can remember specifically. I was working out by myself in the back of the gym, and it was whoever our coach was at the time, and then this guy had come in to do it, and he was in pain. He was laying between the wall and the floor, just writhing, and I was really kind of concerned, thinking, "Do I need to call 911?"
Oh,
here,
wow!
And that wasn't the first time something, people be out puking in the gutter, and but this was kind of ironic. So this particular guy that I reference here, he once he wasn't able to deal with signing up. He was too mentally, whacked by this workout. He had to come back the next day to actually enroll when he was better. And he's actually, to this day, he's still in the community. He owns a clothing company in the CrossFit world. He's became somewhat of a monster. But that was his start. I thought he was going to die in the gym.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
Anyway, yeah, and so it's like this just can't be good. I mean, I think it's a perfect storm because they're all simple body weight movements. It's a perfect opportunity to go anaerobic, and especially with guys, it's just push-ups. The ego kind of gets the best of them. They want to complete, and you find out, as you get, usually it's like people be cruising along pretty good. They get around the push-ups, and you see it, and man. But apparently this was more than this guy's life force had left in it. I mean, of course, we don't know it's connected, but I mean, you'd have to believe it is probably. Maybe certainly would have had something to play a part in it. So certainly feel for obviously the family and but also the, gym owners too. They're, how many times have, you
Yeah.
don't know. But on the other hand, I think, practices like that, I mean, what are we accomplishing when we, you know, basically throw people, smack people in the face like that?
Yeah. I mean, all right. So first things first, like obviously we talked about this off air. So when I first heard this, I was, aghast. So don't obviously take my lack of, uh, holy crap right now as not being empathetic, because I was like, holy shit. Because the first thing I
Mm,
think of is, man, that sucks so bad. You're just trying to
yeah,
get in shape, trying to change your life, and then, that's it. So first off, obviously
yeah,
there's that perspective of this. You're
yeah,
actually, there could have been a million and one other things that this person could have been doing that would have been detrimental to their lives. And to have somebody trying to improve themselves, step outside their comfort zone, and then pass away, that's just terrible.
hmm,
Um, the next thing that comes to mind is obviously an acceptance of like, okay, this happened, and a willingness to understand all sides and all perspectives. Because I think, especially nowadays, the first thing everybody thinks of is, well, is this person experienced? Was this guy in shape enough to do the workout? What, like who can we burn at the stake? Who can we point the finger
right,
at? First off, person passed away. Let's take that in consideration right away. And there's a lot of, everybody in that whole situation is probably profoundly affected. The family, their friends, the gym owners. There's so many people I can't even think of.
right,
Once we go through that period, then we start to assess and learn something from this, so that hopefully I can learn something, you can learn something, obviously the owners can learn something going forward. Some questions that I would consider is, um, how are they screening a person in terms of a potential client to allow them to do this workout? Because in my mind, I look at that workout, and for particular individuals, I'm like, okay, that's not terrible. Because if I have a really deconditioned person, they get on the row and they're going 500 meters. And again, this is me going through this workout with them. Get on the rower
right,
and row nice and easy for 2 minutes at a sustainable pace. And when you get off, you're going to get up and you're going to just start doing some squats, probably, good depth, good pacing, and we want to make this sustainable. And I'm going to make sure that they get good depth, and good technique based upon that individual, and so on and so forth in the entire workout.
yeah,
But you notice that I'm also making a lot of assumptions here. I'm thinking of a deconditioned athlete, maybe overweight. Like I'm putting worst case scenario stuff in here, right?
hmm,
And in the back of my mind saying, I'm just going to give this person something that gives them a little bit of a feeling I worked out, but I know when they get out of the workout, they're going to be like, okay, I can get in my car and I can go home.
hmm,
Now, if we ask these coaches, how did it go? What was the warm up like? What did they seem like? If they were like, dude, they were fine, there was no problem there. Obviously, one, I'm gonna, just question what their judgment might be for maybe momentarily, and then they come back with, hey, we've been doing this for a long time. We've worked with deconditioned athletes before. We look a little bit of the track record, and if the
hmm,
track record says they're not killing people, then we just say, okay, you know what? Like, hey, shit happens, man. He could have been a
hmm,
ticking time bomb, and this could have just been anywhere, and you
hmm.
happen to be the people that he happened to stroll into. It could have been at a Planet Fitness. He could have been running around a track. Shit happens, and
Yeah,
it
exactly. Yeah, he
and it
totally
just
could have.
sucks.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I don't exactly. Yeah, those are my thoughts. I mean, because you can certainly coach someone to do that workout in a more
Mm-hmm.
sustainable way, and I have no idea, how any of that went.
Exactly.
You know,
But again, like if you don't
I could remember from our own experience with it because we didn't. We've never been the type of gym to be, super.
smashing people.
Yeah, so we tried to yoke people back enough to keep them steady and good form and whatnot. And even then, sometimes just it's that perfect dose of intensity to when someone isn't ready.
And
Uh, Yeah,
I
but
think you hit on something earlier too. It's not necessarily them going like I see the most jacked up people get is they get that localized muscular fatigue and build up, and that just throws them into a stupor. And I think not as much about like what affects them is like their heart rate is up. I think it's the response to the exercise mentally, the stress of it. I think that could
mhm,
be way too much for people. I think
right,
obviously the exercise itself is like, all right, anybody could probably do this, but if you have a perception in your brain that like you're gonna die, that heightens everything, and then all
yeah,
of a sudden that molehill becomes a mountain. You know what I mean?
hmm.
What do you guys do as an introduction right now, Scott? I don't know if we ever
Yeah,
talked
so,
about that.
no, no, I don't. Not at least not anytime recently. I mean,
Yeah,
and you know, it's obviously changes from time to time.
yeah, us as well.
But what we are doing, we kind of have a bit of a screening questionnaire where we kind of try to weed people out a little bit, and then they have a intro. It's We do charge $1
That's
only
awesome.
because we find then, oddly enough, people almost always show up. Where when you don't charge anything, it's amazing, but it's true. And then typically we go mostly through a warm up. We don't typically do. I mean, there's always some talking to the person, finding out their goals, and and all that, and
Yeah.
talking about what we do, and that sort of thing, and then you know. Injury history, any preconditions, and we really just kind of go through our warm up, which is like a 15-minute process. Kind of also lets us see how they move, so we
Mm-hmm.
kind of know, if they do decide to join,
Yep.
what's going to be most appropriate for them, and then
Yep.
possibly a small workout, which is, you know, again, that's kind of like what you said, is something that makes them feel like they did something, but they can walk out of here and be just fine,
Yeah.
And that is
How do you get that dollar for them? Do they charge that or something?
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
so basically you're like, all right, this is gonna be $1. Let's take down your information, and we're gonna charge you $1.
mm-hmm.
Okay, so it also kind of gets them in and gets them committed to not kind of like putting. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah, and I
It's a
mean,
great idea.
it really it actually screens out a lot of BS.
Yeah.
Because when you have somebody and they book one, then you can pretty much guarantee they're there. And since doing that, the conversion rate is really, really, really good, because if they get that
Wow.
far, you're pretty sure. I mean, basically, we're not wasting a lot of time, and that's been kind of a
Well,
more
Scott,
recent thing. Yeah.
I'm gonna adopt that idea. I think we were thinking about trying to do something like I think your first class is $1. I think that would be a really cool kind of deal. That's really a good idea, because again, we've been doing on ramp. So back in the day when we first doing CrossFit, and our CrossFit has been open since 2008. This is our 10th year. We did a 3 for free, where they would come Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It was either at 6 a.m. or I think it was like 7 p.m. And then Monday would be like the squat and then like Cindy. And then Tuesday would be like in like a 10-minute Cindy, and it would be like with ring rows and whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Tuesday would be like we would do deadlift and the pulling movements, whatever, and it would be I don't know if it was Helen. It might have been like a variation of Helen. And then Wednesday would be whatever. And this, again, this was before I was just coaching, wasn't running the gym. And then it's evolved. So it was through all 3 classes. Most people would come to 3 and then they would sign up, because obviously the thought behind it is if you're coming to those 3 classes, you're going to go right into Thursday and start CrossFitting. And again, I think what happens is because we were only game in town, that's pretty much what everybody did. The more
Mm-hmm.
and more people, more and more we had competition, the more people would call up and be like, I want to get started. And be like, oh, we have this 3 for free. After 3 classes, you can start the regular classes. And then we go, okay, cool. Hang up the phone, call up the next one, be like, hey, these people said I have to start in 3 days. Can you get me started now? And then, the game changes. Obviously they're like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, well, if this person wants to get started right now. So a lot of people, went the other direction. They said, okay, we're going to get them into their first class right away. You're going to use a PVC and you're just going to go right into class. I'm like, I can't justify that. There's no way I'm doing that.
Yeah.
So we went the opposite direction. We did I think we did a 2-week on ramp. So every day at 7 p.m., the same people would show up. And the problem with that was people's schedules suck. And I think we did it for a
Yeah.
few months. And I was like, all right, well, at least those people that went in would be a high retention. They weren't a high retention. It's just what it is, what it is. You know what I mean? And they went through the on ramp and then they didn't stay with it. And again, this is based upon our clientele, our population down here in South Florida, transient. It happens, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then it became, I think, a Monday, Tuesday, and right now I do a one-on-one with everybody. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
So, and usually I'm pretty flexible with it. If they want to get started, I do a one-on-one. It's free. And the first thing I do is walk through the door after they sign their waiver. I go on any medications, pre-existing conditions. Obviously, we covered that already. And
Mm-hmm.
then the first thing we do, obviously very similar to what you guys do, we go through a warm-up. It's pretty much the same every time. But it is, again, an assessment of the individual's abilities. And again, this is more intuitive to me. So like if I sat there and thought about it and write it down, like, okay, I can get most of that down. But a lot of it is me standing in front of that person and assessing, is this one, physically capable of doing this, and two, mentally capable of doing this? Because I've had people come in and I'm like, you're not ready yet. Like I would be doing you a disservice if I kept you here any longer. And it's
Mm-hmm.
really freaking hard because a person's like, are you seriously throwing me out? I'm like, yeah. And it kills me because I'm like, I want this person to respect me and like me, and this is a new relationship. But I'm like, this is not going to work. Like people come
Yeah.
in like hungover after the night. I had a few drinks last night. I'm feeling good. We're good to go. We're good. I'm like, no, 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 no. We're not good. If you want to do this, you're going to come tomorrow or another day. They're like, okay, never come back. And you know what? I just saved them time and myself time. Our
Mm-hmm.
our philosophy on that first day is get them exposure to the squat, to the deadlift, and to the press, and the variations in between. So we'll do a warm up where it's going to prepare them for all of those things. We do a little bit of breathing work just to kind of organize them and see how capable they are of um, performing in those positions. And again, something that we've always talked about is core control. Does this person have the basic capabilities of core control? And as soon as I'm able to determine that yes or no, that kind of leads the way going forward in the rest of the workout, because it might be literally we're working with an empty barbell, and then you're and going forward, I'm telling them, okay, you're going to work on this stuff. Don't even worry about going heavy for now. For the first month, 2 months, 3 months, you might be working really good core control with very light weight, but there's a reason why you're here, and thank God you came into this gym. Because if you were to go anywhere else, you would have had barbell thrown on your back, and you would have been a ticking time bomb. But here we know and understand that it's time, it's progression, etc. Everybody goes through the same metabolic conditioning. It's 30 seconds assault bike, 30 seconds rest, 30 seconds ring rows, 30 seconds rest, 30 seconds burpees, 30 seconds rest, 3 sets. The idea behind that, and again, by the way, that could be scaled to no push-up burpees, etc. As I'm coaching them through it, the first thing I tell them is this is going to be a sustainable effort for 30 seconds. Then you're going to rest 30 seconds, and you're going to repeat that sustainable effort. So when I put your scores up, I want to see the same score in every go. I would say 95% of the time, most people get through. They're walking around afterward. Whew, that was good. All right, good job. Awesome. Let's go ahead and sign up, whatever. 5% of the time, the person gets done with the second round and they go, I'm done. And I go, okay, that's it. You're done for the day. And that's it. And, I give them, and then we go for a 200-meter walk afterward. We talk about exactly what we did. We kind of talk about options going forward. I pick their brain. How did you like it? Do you see yourself doing this? They ask me questions. How many days a week should I be coming? Do you guys do anything about nutrition? And it kind of, now that now they're like super talkative. They want to know more about this, etc. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Yeah.
excited too because they got to experience it. It's not just me describing it. They went into it and did it. And I always congratulate. And this is something I try to make a big deal of. Every time they go through the on-ramp, I give them a round of applause and congratulate them for completing their first CrossFit workout. And I
Nice.
do try to do that. And when it's more than one person, it's a lot easier because
Right.
then
Yeah.
everybody
Yeah.
claps. But if it's just me clapping at somebody, it's a little bit awkward. But I do make it about them, and I want them to understand that it's a huge step in the right direction, regardless if they sign up or not. Like, yo, at least you tried this.
Mm-hmm.
Um, But yeah, I mean that's the way we do it, and again, it's always evolving. I always throw different things in based upon the person. I'm always learning more about the psychology of the people coming in through the door, and how they could be like screened almost to know that this person is not capable of doing this. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The if in an ideal world, Scott, obviously, what would your intro to CrossFit look like, or are you doing it already?
Well, I wouldn't say I do the ideal just because of the practicality of it. Being
Uh-huh.
a very individual believer, individual
Yep.
attention. Ideally, I would get to do quite a full assessment of a lot of things before someone got started, so I could really direct them, to the most appropriate starting point. And
Yep.
I think we would hit all those. I'd hit all those pieces a little bit, but it could be very, very tailored. But that is very labor intensive, time intensive, and would be rather costly
Mm-hmm.
by its very nature. So it isn't the starting point for most. Every now and then, a lot of people will come in and seek me out in particular, and we pretty much will do those sorts of things. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean,
That's a
not
good
that you need
point.
to assess every last thing in the world. I think you can glean, uh, but kind of understanding what a person's foods look like, what's their stress level like, where's their nervous system at,
Yep.
um,
I do like that
and then
questionnaire though, Scott. Do they fill something out with
the
a questionnaire?
before they yeah, a little online thing, and it basically just asks some simple questions that we know fit the profile. You know,
Yep.
basically, I don't have it all memorized, but we ask you, do you live or work nearby within something? And you can certainly elect to train here if you don't, but we know that a vast majority of people, if we're not in close proximity to one or the other, home or work, it's it won't work out long term.
Yep. It's a good point.
And we say the range of what the rates for classes would be. Is this within your budget? That screens
Another good
out some
point.
of the people that don't.
Yeah.
Are just price shopping and they know what they're in for. It's no surprise at any point. And then
Do you write down?
I can.
Do you write down? Can you afford $150 to change your life? Is that your question?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Which I absolutely can. Yeah,
Yeah. Like if you're
yeah.
writing no, goodbye.
Hmm. But yeah, I mean, I can send you a link to it.
Yeah,
Um,
I would love to
and
look through that, man, because I think not only does that obviously pre-screen, but I think the individual is being pre-screened as well to know what they're going getting themselves into.
yep,
And there, again, I think it also creates more buy-in because the person that is going to be filling out that questionnaire is asking themselves and bringing awareness to themselves of, wait, do I li- do I live by this? Yeah, okay, yeah, of course.
yeah.
I
Is
drive
this
by it every
practical
day.
for me? Yeah,
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 like,
yeah.
can I
It's
afford this? All right, let me like look at my finances right now because I'm going to try this and I'm going to gas everybody up. Be like, oh, this is the greatest thing ever. I'm like, I can't afford my rent, let alone doing this. You know what I mean?
right. Yeah, it makes. I think that they basically are questions that make you reflect a little bit on yourself and your
Yes,
situation
I
because
love
you know
that.
we can all do things, rather impulse. We're online, we're looking around, we have a thought in our head. Oh yeah, this sounds good. Or
Yeah,
wait a minute.
and that's a good point there, Scott. Is that a lot of the shit that goes on today is marketed toward people being impulsive, and it as much as I'm like, all right, well, that's just it. It is what it is today, and we got to accept what is. It kind of makes me feel a little dirty, you know.
Yeah,
So I got to balance the two because obviously there could be people who are like they're motivated right then and there to sign up to change their lives, and I'm going to take an opportunity to do that. But then I know that there's other people who are like 2 o'clock in the morning, they can't sleep, and they're like, whatever, I'll buy this. And then you're
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, hey, all right, when are you ready to start? They're like, I really didn't want to do that. It's like 6 hours later, they're like coherent now. They're like, yeah, I was just kind of like in a drunk stupor. And I was like, yeah, maybe I'll change my life. I'm like, no, now I don't want to do it. I'm like, all right, well,
Yeah.
you know,
Exactly. Sounded good
so
at 2 a.m.
I know exactly. So if I know that I'm getting a new registration at 2 a.m., I'm like, this isn't for real.
Oh yeah. That's just a yeah. That's a bad start.
I know, right? Absolutely. So, yeah, I would love to look over that screen and, maybe revisit that later on as well.
Yeah.
In terms of starting up, is there one thing in particular that you would do different had you have the resources or space or coaches? If it really didn't matter about any of those things, what would be one thing that you would want to change right now based upon some of the things that we were talked about in particular?
Oh,
Like that would make the whole experience more valuable.
yeah, that's a good one.
And I'll think of it too. I'll put you on the spot, but I'll get some time for myself.
Yeah. I don't know. I kind of wish I had a way to get everyone sort of, if I could get accurate baseline on like HRV and some of those things with people, just so I have an
Wow.
idea of what kind of person we're dealing with.
Yep.
Um, and logistically to do that is, it's not crazy difficult or crazy expensive anymore, but it's definitely, you know, you'd have to educate people up front. Not everyone's aware of why that even matters and so on and so forth. But
Yeah. I think in my mind that also almost becomes a selling point too. Like,
I,
like you know how like when people like get super bought in when they do a body fat testing or something like that. Like that's
mhm,
the number one thing people ask me. Like, what's my body fat? Because
right,
it carries such a huge weight and attachment to it, right? So
exactly.
it's almost like if you did an HRV in the beginning and you told them like, well, this should be here because like that means you're more balanced, you're more fit, whatever it might be. Maybe that does allow them to be more bought in general. So not only you are seeing where this person is under the hood, but you're also telling them like, hey man, like this is where you're at and this is where we would love you to be.
Hmm, hmm.
That's actually not bad
Yeah,
at all.
yeah, it is something to think about. And then, as you mentioned, thinking pie in the sky, but then it's like, well, this wouldn't really be that expensive at all.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be that logistically difficult
Yeah, and
either,
again, like
honestly.
maybe it's up in cost of whatever, $100, $200 to do something like that. But how many more clients could you potentially get by everyone going in and saying, okay, this is where you're at? You know what I mean? I know for me particularly is um, again just thinking about like the questionnaire a little bit is being able to ask them a question that gets them out of where they are and starts getting them in the mindset of where they possibly could be. Because when you
Mm,
start doing that for a person, they stop thinking about all the consequences and shit they have to give up. The money, I have to get here on time, this is going to suck. Just like being able to sit down for 15 minutes either before or after, like after a questionnaire or just shooting the shit, but like getting them to understand that like, listen man, where you are right now is not where you're going to be in 30 days from now, 90 days from now, 2 years from now. Because if that person was signing up, they would already be signed up,
hmm.
right? the
Yeah.
person who's the person who had been working out for 2 years would have no problem signed up for that original membership, but the person who's
Mm.
signing up for the membership has no clue.
They don't know that person.
they,
Yeah,
they don't know that
the
person
few,
yet because they haven't
yeah,
become that person yet.
that's really good. Find some way to,
And
yeah,
again,
shift the,
yeah,
yeah, I don't know exactly
yeah. So I
how
don't know.
to
Maybe I'll play around with that stuff. I mean, again, like
think about it. Yeah.
I think these conversations that we have, even though we're like, oh wow, we do this and this and this, it just makes you look at it from a different angle. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So like,
Yeah.
just looking at these basic topics of just an intro class could profoundly change a lot of everything that we do.
Mm.
I think that's why it's important to sit down and have conversations like these because we might be doing something this certain way, and the reason why is because we've always done it that way. We always gotta
Right. There's a certain, yeah,
we always gotta kind of put the spotlight on something. Be like, is this the best that we can be doing with this particular thing? And if it isn't, okay, let's reassess.
yeah,
It's really cool. I think those are really
yeah,
really
cool.
good there. Scott, you got anything else?
No, I think that'll do it for today.
All right, brother. Well,
Yeah.
we have some things to ponder and some things to work on. But in the meantime, I'm Sean LaFlock. You can get me at sean@crossfitdelraybeach.com.
Scott Agnes, you get me at scott@crossfitportland.com.
Beautiful, Scotty. Get some razor on that face.
I'll get some razor, yeah, and maybe some sun eventually, but no time soon, unfortunately.
It'll be here before you know it, Scott. Take care, brother.
All right, take care.
Hey, dude.